Hello and welcome, disc golf fans, to the Front Nine coverage of Round 1 of the 2021 Idlewild Open presented by Dynamic Discs. I'm Brian Earhart, joined here by Nate Perkins, and we are back at an iconic track for disc golf, Nate.
Yeah, we've been coming here since 2017. Every year, it's hot and humid. You can't avoid it. The hills of Kentucky. Very tight and technical track. We've got James Conrad, #1 player in the world, Ricky Wysocki, Zach Melton, and Dave Feldberg coming off a Masters world title just a week ago.
You know, he kind of seemed like he disappeared for a little bit. He has a lot of other little things going on in the disc golf world, but he is still here and he's ready to play moving into hole number 1. This hole's pretty much unchanged for a long time. They like the eagleable par 4 to start the round, 638 feet. With the slope going down to the right, righties do have an option to air one out to circle 1.
In a DGC and the current and 3-time consecutive Masters world champ. Give it up for Dave Feldberg.
And speaking of technical players, Nate, if you watch some old footage of Dave Feldberg, we're talking like 2008 world champion Dave Feldberg, this is potentially one of the most technical backhand shot shapers the game has ever seen. Especially with power.
Yeah, it's pretty special to see how similar his form is to his form from a decade
Yeah,
ago,
it's almost
even 2
completely
decades
unchanged.
ago. It's incredible. And his putt, his little robotic putt motion.
Pittsburgh, Virginia, representing Team MVP, your current world champion and pass-worthy Idlewild champion, James Conrad.
And I forgot exactly where this came from, but there was a quote from Dave Feldberg, I believe, that said that James plays the game how he, I believe, wished he could play the game. Another phenomenal, almost the evolution of, you know, technicality in this game is this long-haired, beautiful man.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a tailwind left to right. And James turns that photon over a little too quick. The only real danger on this hole is not turning it over and finding that OB line on the left.
Course record holder, Ricky Wysocki.
And this is a man who is not too shabby at scrambling in the woods, winning last week at Ledgestone on the toughest wooded track we've probably ever seen. Let's see how he does out here in Kentucky. And that's got us flatten out. I mean,
Huge drive. He's
went a long way.
past pin high.
Rounding out the 924 pairing out of Kingsport, Tennessee, representing Dynamic Disc. Give it up for Zach Melton.
Zach usually shoots pretty solid on this track.
He's had some great finishes here. I believe he tied for second 2018.
And being a lefty on this hole means you're playing a pretty straightforward par 4. There's really no option to get the eagle. You probably have to throw a pretty miraculous roller, I think, if you want to get that up there for a 2. Zach putting it in the fairway. James throwing a little turnover with the disc.
We did a little practice round for Eagle's vlog, and Eagle was joking with James, questioning that he was still throwing that disc, and
Instead of retiring it.
yeah, and Eagle kind of joked. He was like, "Well, what would you sell it for if someone offered you 10K for that disc? Would you sell it?"
It's a possibility these days.
I told him I would buy it for 10K
Would be nice
to
to
sell
have.
it later.
And Dave taking an approach from 120 feet to throw a little touch putter. I like that.
And Ricky going patent pending, having to throw back at this pin.
It just never came out, but it followed the slope of that hill.
Oh,
he was definitely
kind of going for it.
Oh, yeah. He was definitely giving it a bit of a bid. And James for a birdie. This is not one you really want to take a 4 on. Feels kind of like a bogey.
Oh, and he's just outside the circle, too. Oh, getting it started early. This card did tee off at 9:20 in the morning. Pretty calm conditions. Not quite as hot.
Dave with a pretty textbook birdie there.
Yeah, I just love that. The pause. That pause that he has, and he kind of lowers his stance a little bit.
He's done the same thing for decades. It's pretty impressive. And Ricky, after giving it a bit of a bid from about 70 feet pin high, makes his 25-foot comebacker for birdie. Yeah, pretty expected start for this card moving into number 2.
Hole 2, you can see the fairway kind of slants from right to left. Players are really trying to hit the left side of that gap right there and get as close to the sidewalk as you can. They've moved the pin back from a few years ago, and the green is just so sloped. That's really the difficult part of this par 4 is kind of matching that hillside and not skipping down into the water.
And Dave is going to go roller. Again, one of the best roller throwers that our game has ever seen.
It takes a lot of control to lay one down right there with the ceiling and with the slope heading down toward the out of bounds. There is out of bounds left if you... It's hard to find it, but it's there.
James throwing a pretty overstable disc here. Puts it to a decent spot. If you're far down that hill, the second shot is really tough. You have to throw something a lot flippier than you normally would.
Pretty early out of the hand right there. He's on that slope.
And Zach just has a nice hyzer flip from this tee pad.
Beat that tree.
Something to note, if you are a left-handed player, I would say out of all the lefties that have both a forehand and a backhand on tour, Melton and Chris Clemens are polar opposites in regards to the decisions they make off the tee. So very interesting to watch, like what Zach chooses off the tee, you know, as opposed to Chris. Green flag on the edge there. Ricky uphill lie. Throwing a slower disc. This is a far shot.
Wow. I'm going to just float that mid all the way there. That is going to be a scary putt, though.
Yes.
The fastest green on the course.
Feldberg having to go with something very understable, just snapping his wrist from where he's at. Puts his to circle 2's edge, I believe. Zach has a much bigger advantage coming into this green. Able to throw something with a little bit of turn that fights the hill. Gives himself also a scary putt.
He has the softest circle 2 bids.
Especially when he has that really beat-up black putter, and Ricky has stayed up. This is a roll-away green.
Wow, look at this
for
stance.
sure. Bit of a tumble there for James. Just off the top.
Is Zach doing the Calvin right there? Was Zach covering his
The
eyes?
You know, he's been doing that for a long time.
He has? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. Sorry, Zach.
I think Zach, Calvin, and Paige are all in the same group chat. Covering your eyes before you putt group chat. Must be doing something right. Honestly.
Good putters. Maybe it takes the fear out of it.
You can't see the basket. You just let go of the disc. No, I really like this change in basket placement. It's put it to a spot where it makes it a lot tougher to access. Hole number 3 is one of my favorite holes in disc golf. 407 feet, a couple of rolling hills, but downhill gradually the entire way to this guarded basket. You can throw a mid-range, you can throw a fairway driver. I've seen so many different plays on this hole.
And there's 1,000 up for grabs for the MPO field. You can see the sign right there, the $1,000 ace hole.
And this one does seem to get aced every year. Feldberg kind of crashing off a bit left. There's out of bounds all down the left side.
Yeah, anything early left is worst case scenario. There's also a creek right in front of the pin that it's only a few feet across, but it's marked as out of bounds.
So it's still an island, technically. James just ripping one down the hill.
Oh! It was chain high.
Let's do a quick form check. Nate, you play a lot with James. What do you think here?
Oh, I just love watching that. Look at the full commitment. Look at how high his back leg is above his head. That is the number one thing about James Conrad is his level of commitment is at 100% on every shot. Even he's throwing a volt right there.
Yeah.
So it's 400 feet downhill playing like 350, and he's toning back on that quite a bit, but still, even if he's throwing 50%, Brian, he's still committing 100%.
And Zach getting to go little touchy hyzer flip. I'm guessing this is a Maverick from him. Loves throwing that disc. Gets the green flag, and he should be right there putting for birdie. Just such a fun shot to throw downhill. Wow. And it looks like he's found a new flippy black putter.
That's a new one?
I mean, if it's the same one that he's been putting with for this many years, I'd be pretty blown away, but it very well could be. I remember he did switch companies a little bit ago. I'm not sure if he just like stashed the other one away.
Well, right now he's with Infinite, so he's doing a mixed bag.
James grabbing the birdie there. So close to getting a fully paid visit to Red Lobster. Hitting the ace.
There's some new juggling balls.
Yeah, seriously. Zach with another textbook birdie. Little hyzer flip down the hill. But yeah, we'll see who snags this in the next couple of rounds. I don't believe there were any aces hit on this hole yet.
Hole 4, it's 432. Again, the fairway kind of slopes from right to left. The right-hand backhand has to turn it over or they risk hyzering out into that water. losing their driver.
I feel like playing the high side of this hole is what you want. You want to throw the Anheuser that moves right of the basket, and if you're 30 feet to the right, that's a great shot. It's successful, high percentage.
It's a good distance, too, because it's only 432, so majority of the field is attacking this one.
Okay, this looks good if it flattens out.
Beautiful line.
Oh, kind of got dropped a bit.
Yeah, it did get just dropped.
Kind of got air bounced a bit. He's going to be safe. He's going to have an option to run it, but I doubt he will. Maybe a nice touchy run. And Zach has to put some stank on this one and challenge the OB the entire way. But he does have a much safer landing with the slope. Pure hyzer out of the hand. Little tiny touch of flatten.
Oh, yeah.
And puts himself to a safe 30, 35 footer. With his putt again fading away from the out of bounds.
This is really the test of a man's forehand right here.
This is a big boy forehand.
Yeah.
That is for sure.
Saw Eagles spike it into the circle during practice a few times.
And Ricky throwing a little bit of hyzer as well. No way. Just showing off the chops. He still has that power side him after all these years.
He's still got it, Brian. That's really, like, he was the first player that I really latched onto, you know, because of that big forehand. Watching him at 2014 Worlds, that playoff.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
just knew that Ricky was going to park it on hole 2 with those purple D2s that he was throwing.
Ooh, I love Feldberg's touch these days. He's throwing a little bit different shots than he used to. He's kind of just snapping his wrist from this distance, and I love it. Almost kind of like what Double G does, kind of pulling back.
Yeah.
James not giving it a bid. This is a feasible run from about 40, 45 feet. Oh, this is a little longer, 45, 50.
Oh, it's 3 in a row. And it's not an easy putt right there. It's only surprising because of who's putting it.
Exactly.
You know, we're just so used to seeing Rick drop those in.
And that to me is the difference. He's always throwing the disc solid and scrambling well. The difference between his solid 1040 rounds and then when he shoots the 1070, 1080s is when he's cashing all of those.
I started playing disc golf with my family when I was 8 years old. When I was 16, I got my first job as a cook at a bowling alley, and that's when I made my first batch of beef jerky. As I got better at throwing, I also got better at making beef jerky. Everyone told me they loved my jerky. After 15 years of making my beef jerky as a hobby, I decided to make it available to everyone. Double G Craft Jerky. Give it a try. You're gonna love it.
Hole number 5, 555 feet, beautiful downhill sloping fairway. OB creeks all down the left side. Roller or sidearm is a pretty common play for the righty. Getting into this gap and then throwing this tight technical approach to this little peninsula green with, again, the same OB creek running through. I have seen some power backhands get there. We have seen a putt for a 2 a couple of times, and James is going for it.
Oh, he didn't love it out of the hand. A little too much cut. Oh,
and
it just
that
ran down that hill.
That's the big fear with the backhand on this hole, is exactly what happened, unfortunately.
That's what makes this hole so difficult for the right-hand backhand player. And even the lefty backhand, you can't hit too high up on the hill or you run the risk of rolling back down that creek.
Zach has thrown a... Ooh, it almost did exactly what you were saying. He still has a great look at the basket. Probably some sort of chip shot, forehand with whatever he's using right now. Ricky. Heiser flip, it looks like. What is he lining up?
I want to say roller.
Oh, he is going roller. He was lining up Heiser. This has got some pace on it, Nate. Oh my gosh!
Flying past that tree.
Sheesh.
Yeah, that tree's the mark of a great shot, and he just flew by it.
That was a great roller. Wow. Let's see if Feldberg can match. Can't let these youngins show him up. And this looks good as well. Standing up a little early.
Oh, that's a tricky spot up on that hill. You have to make a decision if you want to try and cross that OB creek and land on the turf. Oh, this is scary. He's going out over OB.
Oh. Sit down.
Chill. Oh.
That was just a few feet away from being absolutely brilliant, but he does go over land, so he is tapping in a par. Feldberg.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It just kicked it into a wider shot. This is a harp that Zach has been touching on these forehands.
No. Oh, he was short as well. And then there's Ricky running the eagle putt. We've seen a few looks for eagle on this hole with exactly what Ricky was doing. This is a big par save. That is a terrible feeling.
What, the band?
It just looks so good out of the hand from 40 feet, and you miss by an inch.
The bogey band.
Feldberg's going to save the par after going OB. James should be doing the same from about 10 feet. Oh, and I see bogey here for James. Oh, he was OB on his drive as well. Yep. Double OB5 for James.
Yeah, you always know where Rick's at now because of his tour manager, Ari, cheering on in the background. Hole 6, 437. It's blind, shapes from left to right. Kind of a short, like, tee pad. You don't really get a run up on this pad. You just have to use the space of the tee pad. And it's just a sharp ante out of the hand for the right hand backhand.
Yeah, and it's so sharp that you'll see people do what Ricky's doing. And it's hard to gauge this roller because you kind of have no idea where the basket is, and you put it to the edge of circle 1. From the front, you can see Ricky's spine tilt backwards. He's falling into the shot.
That follow through.
And
rotates out of it.
Ooh, the full 360. That's the secret to rollers, I suppose. I guess. What a roller from Rick.
These form checks are great to get a look at that exactly what you're talking about. Leaning backwards like that, it's so important. I think
especially with the roller.
Nate Sexton just really leaning that spine back.
Because that's the thing about some of these really good roller throwers. They're not just throwing their flippy 9-speed on a hyzer flip line. They're laying down these overstable discs sometimes. Like, sometimes the fastest driver in their bag.
These guys are good.
I think so, Nate. And I think, is James lining up the same thing?
I think James is going air shot with this photon, but
no,
he sure isn't.
He sure is not doing that thing that I said.
He's an audible master. He'll practice a hole 10 times and throw a line. And then if he gets to the tee pad and takes in the moment and doesn't like it, he'll just audible to something else and commit to it.
It's a scary move to do in a tournament. And this is kind of what the lefty has to do. The hyzer flip is so steep for a lefty. And this is all you've got. And honestly,
That's a sick shot. He's
Yeah.
at 40 feet out.
crossing the path with that flex sidearm is an accomplishment. James is going to be nice and safe for the 3, and this is Zach for a really solid 2 for a lefty on this hole.
What?
That was
Such an awkward spit out.
That was mean. Chains, basket, spun back into the chains, and then spit back out. It's another one of those Ricky range putts that just hasn't gone in yet.
That's the 4th one we've seen
Yeah.
in the first 6 holes.
He's throwing the disc great, though, so he's in a good spot still. Definitely needs to start putting the foot on the gas. Yikes!
Dave is coming off of not just a title, but an unbelievable performance at Worlds. He shot 60 under par through 5.5 rounds.
And he beat MJ in the woods, which is not easy to do, especially when he's playing really well. Hole number 7. It says 484 feet. It plays so much longer than that. Uphill through the woods. You're throwing a placement shot off the tee, and your first job is to just hit this tight gap and stick it somewhere on that gravel path initially to have an uphill look at this basket. It's a very specific par 4. You hit the gap, but you're too deep. You're really scrambling to get back in the fairway. But there is OB short, so you have to commit to this tee shot.
Yeah, it's one of those gaps that it's like if you don't hit the gap, it's an instant bogey.
Yeah.
You're getting bogey at best from that drop zone.
And Ricky's thrown about...
Yeah, it's just a few feet too deep, just like you were saying. You kind of start to pinch your angle off.
He might have some sort of trick shot through there. And Dave going backhand turnover. Look at this. No!
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And that's
a
the
bad place
danger
to
with
be.
the backhand, because it roll bounces left. But it looks so pretty. James going with the same thing. Maybe a little slower disc here. And it looks like he's safe, but that spot down there is not going to be too easy to get up and down. He's going to be pretty sloped.
That looks great. Good height.
That's
Oh,
perfect.
yeah.
Absolutely perfect angle. He's going to get to throw a forehand from there.
Dave slipped. Fell on his hand.
Yeah, we got word that he slipped and fell on his hand, and he's bleeding right now. Yeah, he is not doing well. You saw him wincing already after that throw. That is not good. He's had a few hand injuries playing disc golf that we've heard of. There was a classic instance of him hitting his hand in a tree and finishing a tournament off. One of the worst feeling things to do. No, James.
No. That was a bad lie.
There's a couple bad lies.
Yeah, that hill it's hard to tell on the camera, but it's so steep. And you're trying to hit a 12-foot wide gap.
And just, 20 feet left where Zach is. And it's much steadier footing. Once you get past that initial slope, it's much smoother sailing.
We need that birdie counter for the disc because I think the pig might be in the lead.
Yeah. Dave gets up there. Should have a decent par putt. James still has work to do.
This gap. Pipes it. That's he had the trail to the next hole. Oh. Drop down. Oh, look, he's just like holding that left hand out there. Must have really hurt himself.
Still saves par. Nothing spectacular so far from Dave, but he's been playing steady. Pretty textbook birdie there for Zach. And Ricky quietly moves to 3 under par.
Yeah, 3 under par with 4 missed putts.
Yeah.
He's throwing it well. Right, hole 8. Really fun par 5. The gap off the tee, you can't see. It's one of those gaps you just trust is there and sets up great for right hand, forehand, and hyzer. This is one of the most gettable par 5s.
Definitely.
As far as the eagle. You get that forehand around the corner, you get to flatten out and hyzer a little bit, and you have another just hyzer forehand.
That is a good-looking line if it flattens
that
in
scoop
time.
out. A little left. Might pinch his angle a little bit.
It might also give him the opportunity to throw a flex up the hill, which would give him the extra distance to get to the basket. So who knows? I mean, he's gotten past the initial set of trees. And Zach trying to match with the backhand line, a little tougher, but still throws a beautiful line with the truth. And that's totally fine. Getting a 4 in this hole is not bad. And
what a line.
Dave representing Zanfell, pretty heavy on his shirt. I believe he is a big representative for them now. If you don't know what Zanfell is, it is a very powerful poison ivy antidote, I believe.
Yeah, a little scrub. If you think you got it on you, use it in the shower, scrub it off before it gets all the oils off.
Are they going to sign us now? James.
No, but we should do commercials. Right, Brian? You'd kill it.
Right you are, Nate. Moving into Zach's shot here. Okay.
Early, but he's getting lucky all the way through.
He's got a circle 2 look for an eagle. And I don't know what Dave's going to do there. Ooh, a little flatten. Sticks it to about 40 feet.
Wow, he pured it almost the entire way. He got that last guardian.
So we have 2 looks for eagle here. And James just pops his up. And that is the first kind of big mistake.
This should be me, Rick. I'm right beside Dave.
And this is a 3 look from Zach. About 55, 60 feet.
Hold it.
Oh, he knew it. Gatekeeper rewind.
No wobble, just beautiful nose down. That is the most perfect push putt we've ever seen in disc golf. So solid.
So, do you think that it's harder to learn the push putt
Absolutely.
or the spin putt?
Push putt, absolutely. It's harder to master the spin putt, I believe, because your wrist is hinging from, right to left or left to right. But to just initially find the release of a good push putt is very difficult. You're kind of springing your bottom to your middle finger and ring finger underneath the disc, and it's very hard to get it to come out the way Ricky's does. No wobble, tons of pace. Hole number 9, 258 feet, subtle turnover, beautiful little gap, and then these nice trees with the basket nestled right between them.
Fast green.
Fast green.
Yeah, if you're throwing the forehand, you got to put some touch on it. And Ricky does. Look how soft that release is.
And look how fast that green is. You have to kind of stall, like even stall it. I don't even think coming in with hyzer is a good option here. That's why the backhand turnover for righty's not bad.
I mean, you can't help but think of James nearly acing one year and then dead center acing the year after with that.
Yeah, this is his shot.
Corkscrew hyzer, and he's going to try and replicate it right here with the disc.
Oh, that is a nasty kick.
I didn't even see that one. That looked like it was online.
And he's going to be way off right, scrambling for an up and down. It is not pretty back there.
No, early right's the worst spot to be on this hole.
Soft. And let's do a little form check with Dave. He has this iconic pump that's a timing mechanism for him, but even though he does it, his back foot and the disc still talk to each other. It's a little over-exaggerated, but it still works together. Such an interesting, unique thing that he does compared to everybody else.
Ooh, little touchy forehand from JC. I see you.
Zach's had a few of these. He's just been waiting for that one to fall.
That was a fun little bit, little full flight putter.
And he's got some work to do still. Low ceiling. Misses on the left side. That is a bogey for Zach.
There we go. Dave under par for the front. Ricky still shot 5 down on the front, Brian.
Yeah. I mean, taking an eagle on hole 8 is it looked so doable. It does not happen that often.
No, it doesn't.
It's very specific to get that. So there you have it, folks. There's the front 9. We have some blemishes on these cards, except for Ricky Wysocki. 3 birdies and an eagle moving into the back 9. Some tricky holes out there. And we have a lot of shooters up on this field now.
Paul Oman back at it. Tim Barham, welcome back. Glad you're feeling better. And Gatekeeper Media, great work, guys.
Yeah, beautiful coverage.
Coverage is so chill
Form
right
checks
now.
are great. Make sure to subscribe to them on YouTube. We will catch you for the back 9 coverage coming soon. We will see you later.